So this press conference is on the violations of the electoral law and the manipulation of the electorate by the Director General of ELECAM, which could compromise the peaceful conduct of the forthcoming presidential election. In Cameroon, most electoral matters are governed by the law number 2012/001 of the 19 April 2012 on the Electoral Code as amended and supplemented by law number 2012/017 of the 21st December 2012, to which are added certain provisions of law number 2004/004 of 20 April 2004 as amended and supplemented by law number 2012/015 of 21 December 2012 on the organization and functioning of the Constitutional Council. Section 80 of this law stipulates, I quote, "At the end of the revision operations and in the light of the documents and data communicated by the regional branches of Elections Cameroon, the Director General of Elections shall draw up and make public the national electoral roll by 30 December at the latest," unquote. However, in a press release made public on 30 December 2024 by the Director General of ELECAM, as if to show his concern to comply with the fundamental requirement of the law, it is written, I quote, "The national electoral rolls," in plural. He talks of rolls, whereas the law says roll, singular. It's not the same thing. So I start again. "The national electoral rolls are available for consultation at the communal antennas of Elections Cameroon and ELECAM focal points in diplomatic representations and consular posts of Cameroon abroad," unquote. This declaration constitutes a flagrant violation of the aforementioned Article 80 of the Electoral Code. By his own admission, the Director General of ELECAM has not published the national electoral roll as required by law. This means that to date, there is no national electoral roll available and accessible to the public. This serious breach of the law is likely to compromise the participation of many Cameroonians in the expected presidential election and consequently to create frustrations and disputes that we can and must avoid. This situation undermines the right to vote of every citizen duly registered on the electoral roll who remains uncertain as to whether his or her registration is valid and unable to make any corrections. At the same time, it is severely prejudicial to the interest of our party, the CRM, as a player in the electoral process entitled by the Constitution to participate in the expression of the suffrage of Cameroonians. We have therefore taken two types of legal actions. The first action consists in referring the matter to the Constitutional Council, which, by virtue of Article 3 of Law number 2004/004 of 21 April 2004, amended and supplemented by Law number 2012, stroke 015 of 21 December 2012 on the organization and functioning of the Constitutional Council, shall ensure the regularity of the presidential election, parliamentary election, and referendum consultations, and shall proclaim the results thereof. This power vested in the Constitutional Council gives it full jurisdiction over any issue relating to the regularity of proclamation of the results of the presidential elections in question here. According to Article 50 of the Electoral Code, I quote, "The preparation and revision of electoral rolls and the production and distribution of electoral cards are considered to be the preparatory operations for elections," unquote. Verification of the reliability of the electoral register, which necessarily involves publication of the national electoral list, is an integral part of drawing up and revising electoral registers and distributing electoral cards. The obligation to make the national electoral roll public is therefore not an optional extra for the Director General of ELECAM, either legally or practically. It is a legal and political imperative that constitutes a cornerstone of electoral democracy. ELECAM, which has all the financial, technical, and operational means at its disposal to publish a national electoral roll comprising all voters registered on electoral rolls within Cameroon and the diaspora, has no credible excuse for its action, which are a crime against democracy in our country. It must be clearly understood that without the prior publication of the national electoral list as prescribed by the Electoral Code, the Constitutional Council will be reduced to trial and error when proclaiming the results of the forthcoming presidential elections. During the 2018 presidential election, ELECAM's violation of Article 80 of the Electoral Code by failing to publish the national electoral list led not only to the CPDM candidate being fraudulently awarded victory, but also to the proclamation of a valid cast vote rate of 100.48%. In other words, in the end, there were more voters than registered voters. The law has certainly defined the procedure that fall within the jurisdiction of the Constitutional Council. However, in Article 65, entitled Other Procedures, the legislator has described how any petitioner who wishes to bring a case before the Constitutional Council in relation to its jurisdiction and in connection with a procedure whose implementation has not been expressly reserved for a category of person, who may do so on an exceptional basis. It was therefore in accordance with the requirement of Article 65 of the law on the organization and functioning of the Constitutional Council, that the CRM brought the matter before this institution. The CRM maintains in its application initiating the proceedings that by refusing to make public the National Electoral Roll, the Director General of ELECAM has seriously compromised in advance the regularity of the presidential election of 2025 by ensuring that this electoral competition is conducted on the basis of a national electoral roll that does not exist or that is known only to ELECAM. The CRM's second action is to petition ELECAM's Electoral Council to denounce the failings of the electoral rolls revision process. This request still relates to the flagrant violation of Article 80 of the Electoral Code. It is asking the Electoral Council to act urgently to compel the Director General of ELECAM to publish the complete national electoral roll as required by Article 80 of the Electoral Code, to make the complete national electoral roll available to voters in digital form on the official ELECAM website. In addition to the digital publication of ELECAM's official website, to post the national electoral roll in all polling centers in the country and in the diaspora, to reinstate on the national electoral roll the 120,000 voters arbitrarily excluded and whose reinstatement has been publicly announced by the Director General of ELECAM, and to put on ELECAM's official website the complete separate list of the 120,000 voters in question. Finally, in accordance with the provision of Article 77 of the Electoral Code, to transmit to the representative of the CRM the essential data and the register of registration. Up-to-date statistics and registrations, the registrations and internal and external transfers. The final list of polling stations with the number of registered voters per station for each municipality. Give concrete and precise answers to the production and distribution of electoral cards 10 months before the presidential election. To abolish and relocate, pursuant to paragraph 4 of Article 96 of the Electoral Code, all polling stations that are not located in a public place or a place open to the public, such as military barracks, traditional chieftaincies, and police camps. For example, in Tiko, where 10 polling stations are located at the Mutengene Police Training and Application Center, 2 polling stations at the Special Amphibious Battalion camp, and 1 polling station at the Navy camp, making a total of 13 stations out of 151 in this district. In addition to the above, I would like to share with you the serious concerns of the CRM about the tidying up the electoral roll carried out by the General Manager or the Director General of ELECAM and its technical partners. This operation has turned into a real opportunity for fraud in voter registration and manipulation of the electoral roll with a view to blocking the increase of the electorate. Indeed, everyone can see the striking contrast between the exceptional mobilization of Cameroonians for voter registration, particularly in 2024, and the total number of voters finally retained by ELECAM's Director General. The latter seems to be more determined than ever to block the number of voters in our country, since despite the obstacles he has erected to prevent registration, for example, by limiting the opening hours of ELECAM offices to 3 p.m. from Monday to Friday, and prohibiting registration on Saturdays and Sundays for spurious reasons. The enthusiasm of Cameroonians continue unabated. He's also doing this by discouraging ELECAM staff through a form of ill treatment, and despite ELECAM's large budget, managing the registration kits that are in good working order. In association with the National Police Force, which is responsible for the production of national identity cards, ELECAM and the CPDM are operating throughout the country to simultaneously and clandestinely issue national identity cards and electoral cards to citizens who have been pre-selected and corrupted by local CPDM political elites, with the view to the massive they are accustomed to the massive fraud they are accustomed to during the elections, and this phenomenon is described throughout numerous videos released recently. I'm thinking in particular of the one showing a man in CPDM uniform, surrounded by hundreds, if not thousands, of national identity cards, who, according to the video, was acting on the orders of a former CPDM member of National Assembly from the Vina Department or Vina Division in the Adamawa region. The young whistleblower, Jubairu, who uncovered this case of flagrant electoral fraud, was abducted on 24 December and has yet to be found. Once again, I call on this former member of National Assembly and the authorities to free this young compatriot, who in truth should be congratulated for his Republican vigilance. I should say by a citizen. I'm also thinking of this other video produced by a citizens platform called Pouvoir au Peuple Camerounais, PPC, which shows still in the Adamawa region an incredible scene of electoral fraud orchestrated by the ELECAM, DGS and CPDM, with the president of the CPDM section of Nyambaka, Ngaoundere, as the main actor, according to the authors of the video, and showing a long queue of young people queuing up to collect their national identity cards. I would like to pay tribute to outstanding work of this PPC platform's citizens' vigilance, which should serve as an example to our other compatriots, especially in this crucial election year for our country. In the same vein, remember also the scandal of illegal and shocking voter registration, which broke at the end of April 2024 in Masangam, Nun Division, the West region. I deplore and condemn the manifest refusal of the government and the CPDM, as well as the judicial authorities, to open proper investigations in these breaches of the law despite ample evidence and the names of the perpetrators. I thank you. With that, I conclude my introductory statement. And now, if there are some questions, we'll now open the session of Q&A. Thank you.